Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. As always, I'm Theo, that's Nick. This is the Drafted Up Podcast, and today we finish our divisional breakdowns as we finish it off with the NFC West, and we're only a few sleeps away from the first game of the NFL season. Today's Tuesday, that means it's 2, as the Chiefs and the Ravens open up on Thursday, and we got a game on Friday.
Love it.
Eagles and Packers may be their last game of the season, as they may die in Brazil. Nick, how you doing, dog?
Very dangerous place to have a game, if you ask me, but it's going to make a ton of money for the NFL, so I get it. I'm doing good. Can't really complain. Got a lot going on right here.
Some extra hardware.
Look at that.
This isn't good for the listening people, but
the audio people.
Nick is showing off our home league championship title. It's a thing of beauty. Sweet Rebecca, as I call her. Nick got the belt. We had our home league draft this weekend.
Yes, sir.
Fun times.
Great times.
It was a good time. I liked how my team turned out. We'll touch base on our home league maybe next episode, and we'll probably record either after this one, another one, or record on Wednesday our week 1 preview stuff to get that out for Thursday.
I always do something for the Friday games, and then try to do something for the rest of the games for sure.
Yeah, so let's dive in. The NFC West, last year's divisional winners were the San Francisco 49ers. They made it all the way to the Super Bowl. They finished at 12-5, and they have minus 195 odds to win according to DraftKings. That is a first place projection with a projected win total of 11.5. The vibes have not been good recently in San Francisco, but we finally have an end to the Brandon Ayuk saga. He's signed. We have an end to the Trent Williams saga. He's signed. And negatively, Ricky Pearsall was shot this weekend.
For sure.
A bullet right through his chest, went out his back, clean shot, didn't hit the organs. Best case scenario, he's going to be okay, released from the hospital. He was placed on some injured list, so he's going to be out for at least the first 4 weeks. But that thankfully, I mean, that doesn't matter as long as his life is okay. And glad to hear that, because it was a little scary. Got robbed, an incident before a signing. Some guy tried to steal his Rolex, and I'm just thankful Slick Rick is okay, and
for sure,
hopefully we'll have a productive season this year. If not, we can talk about Ricky next year.
Hell yeah. First round pick. Thank goodness he's all right. Could have been a lot worse. I would assume it was only inches away from hitting something that could have really, really ended that dude's life. So we're all just happy he's all right.
Yeah, for sure. So San Francisco, they got Brock Purdy. He's kind of the most controversial quarterback in football, possibly. No one knows if he's actually good, or no one knows if he's actually great. I lean towards a little middle ground. I think he's a good NFL quarterback. Last season, he was like a top 7 fantasy quarterback. I don't see that happening this year. He's currently going ADP at the 8-11, which is quarterback 11. In our group rankings, we have him as quarterback 14, a little bit lower than that. How do you feel about Brock Purdy?
I'm not too high on Purdy fantasy-wise. I think he's a really good real-life quarterback. He's a really good game manager. He's not going to go in there and lose you the game. But I don't think he can really step on the field and really take over a game. But the Niners don't need him to do that. So for what the Niners need him to do, he's perfect. And for me to sit here and say he's not good would be crazy, because he's proven that he's okay. He's a capable quarterback in the NFL. That's what Brock Purdy is.
Yeah, he's one of those quarterbacks, like if I'm going to take him, he's one of the guys I'd want to pair up with Jaden Daniels. Like
for sure.
He's a good
high upside guy.
Floor guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
But I'm not too keen on him at 8-11, but
no, too high.
He probably goes lower in most home leagues because he's going to probably be a backup there. And if you're like me, you don't really like having 2 quarterbacks on your roster. So
not worth it.
If you can get Purdy a little later, I'm in on that. But as like your starting quarterback, I'm shying off a bit.
Yeah, no, I don't like him as my starting quarterback. And like you said, if somehow I would happen to fall into him, I would already have Jaden Daniels. Like I would take Jaden Daniels over Brock Purdy. So I would just be taking my 4 quarterback with Jaden Daniels at that point, so it really doesn't matter who I'm pairing him with. If it's Brock Purdy, Jared Goff, Tua, it's essentially a guy that's just going to go out there and rely on touchdown and yards. So
I'll give you a little scenario here, a little peek behind the curtains for you listening folks. We did the Megla Bowl also this weekend, which is
we did
15,000 plus person fantasy league. We drafted Joe Burrow, and we were looking usually. Like I said, I don't like targeting two quarterbacks, but Joe Burrow's got the wrist injury. He's got that going on. So we did want to get insurance, and we got Tua in the second to last round of the draft, which is great. The team that drafted Brock Purdy actually released him the other day. So Brock Purdy or Tua Tagovailoa, who would you rather have?
Oh man, that's really, really rough. In my just right off the bat, I'm leading towards Purdy. And I think I have Tua ranked above him. I do actually have Tua ranked 13th. I have Purdy 14th.
Yeah.
But I think
same
I would
tier though.
The exact same tier. But I think I'd pull the trigger on Purdy. He's surrounded by a little bit more. And Jalen Waddle's been iffy all through the training camp and stuff. So essentially, if he goes down, they're left with Tyreek and a whole bunch of hoopla besides the running backs.
Yeah, because Odell's also starting the year on the PUP list or IR, whichever
so
one.
You're looking at what? Braxton Berrios? Is he the 3 there?
Malik Washington.
That's what I like to hear.
That's my guy. Yeah. Big ups. My dude Malik probably going to be the 3 there, but I imagine Braxton Berrios will start as a 3. But we have that decision. Like we could release Tua, we could drop Tua to waivers and pick up Brock Purdy. I would lean towards Tua just because I think Miami's going to be scoring a ton of points. Their defense not as good as San Francisco, but it's the apples to oranges. Either one, a great insurance package to Joe Burrow.
I agree.
The easy one, the quickest discussion here will be Christian McCaffrey, the running back for the 49ers. His ADP is 101. First pick of the draft. He is obviously then the running back 1. He's missed all of camp with this calf injury. But he's back to practice. Again, the vibes for San Francisco are turning here as we enter the season.
Have turned at the last moment possible for a team to really turn the tides. It's 2 days before the season starts. Yeah, not their season. Their season starts Monday, but it's right around the corner, dude. San Fran's got to get their shit together, dude.
Like, a lot of people were being spicy, like, oh, the Niners Super Bowl hangover, which is plausible. It happens. Jason Kelsey last year had a quote, like, the Eagles were 10-1, and he quoted, like, they were all miserable because they lost the Super Bowl. So it's hard to do it, and they've done it twice in a handful of years here. Yeah. So
they've made the NFC championship, I swear, like 3 years in a row, dude.
Yeah, so there it wouldn't surprise me if there's a regression, but Elijah Mitchell, he's out for the year, so that puts Jordan Mason in the backup role. Garendo might fill in here or there later in the season, but Christian McCaffrey, you would still take him 101?
I would, without a heartbeat. He's a big reason as to why this belt is sitting in my room for the next calendar year. It's McCaffrey is a big part of that. I looked into him at 3, I think, last season. The 2 people ahead of me didn't take him. So I got him at 3. I would happily take McCaffrey 1. All you're banking off is if he gets hurt. That's the only thing. If he plays, he's going to be a top 3 running back. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But if he gets hurt, that's a realistic thing, especially with him already missing time, missing camp. Luckily, they got Trent Williams back. That's a huge factor to that team. With Trent Williams actually would have held out. He's done it before in the past.
Yeah, that dude loves his
That's
money.
A big blow, dude. But we're not worried about that anymore.
Yeah. I've been in the scenario this year. I had the first pick in one of our sub leagues that isn't overly important, but it's a 3 receiver league. So I did lean wide receiver first. I did take Tyreek. So I wouldn't bat an eye if you wanted to go Tyreek or CD 1-1 over McCaffrey, especially look at your league format. Like if you are 3 receivers, you might want to target the receiver early there. But all 3 of them, like concerns coming in, like McCaffrey had the calf injury, Tyreek's got this hand thing going on, and CD obviously had the contract, which is shored up now, but he hasn't really been practicing. So he's coming in slow. So there are 3 question marks with any of them, but all 3 of them should be the first pick of your draft in standard PPR, half PPR, non-super flex leagues.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's pretty set for him to finish as a top 3 to 4 running back, just as long as he plays. That's the only real concern. with
You going to
McCaffrey.
target one of the backups for safety measures, being Jordan Mason or Isaac Garendo? I know I'm not.
Me personally, no. In deep leagues though, or if you McCaffrey in a dynasty league, get a backup.
Yeah, deep
McCaffrey's
leagues.
backup has always been fantasy relevant to a certain extent. He misses time here and there. It is what it is. And when the backup ends up playing, they always produce.
Yeah, like your 14 to 16 team leagues, dynasty leagues, those guys should be rostered. But your standard 12,
No.
I wouldn't really waste unless you have like a 20-man roster.
Oh yeah,
I
sure.
I wouldn't be stashing up one of those running backs.
No.
All right, let's talk about the pass catchers here in San Francisco. They're the good ones. Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle. We could have talked about Ricky Pearsall, but I'm probably not drafting him or getting any shares of him now. So that possibly leaves Juwan Jennings, but I think there's minimal upside with him. So Deebo, he's going at the 303, wide receiver 14. Brandon Ayuk right after him at the 306, wide receiver 16. This whole division in general, like all the receivers are really clumped together. Like they're all back to back. You'll see that with like Cooper Kupp and
Puka.
DK Metcalf are right near these guys. And then you got Marv and Puka who are above these guys. Real deep receiving rooms throughout the whole division. Ayuk did worry me without the contract. Like I was shying away from him. I had him in my 20s. I did give him a little bump when he signed. I prefer going Deebo. I think with the rushing upside, I value him more, especially if McCaffrey's hurt or banged up. I could see Deebo getting more touches. But both guys at their ADP are great values in my eyes.
You can't go wrong with either of the receivers there in San Fran. I've always leaned towards Brandon Ayuk over Deebo the last 2 years per se. I think he's just more of a consistent option fantasy wise. Deebo's super hit or miss, especially like week wise. Like he's not very consistent. Where Ayuk, he doesn't get the catches, but he gets the yards. His touchdowns were crazy last year too, which was amazing. I think he's finished 14-14 the last 2 years, to where Deebo does not finish consistent like that. Ayuk has finished 14-14 in PPR and non-PPR, to where Deebo has finished 15, 43, 96. Deebo's just not consistent. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Deebo. I would just take the consistent route with Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah, and that's where we differ, because I think Deebo has wide receiver 1 potential. Like I'm talking like top 3. I don't see that with Ayuk, just because like
I agree.
He's probably the 3rd target in the passing game, and his targets are all deep shots, like, and they were super efficient last year. Whereas like if those start missing, then the short game with Deebo picks up and it bumps Ayuk down. But I like all 3 guys. I give the slight edge there to Deebo. I love George Kittle this year. Like incredible value, like only 1,000-yard tight end last season. And he didn't get the bump. Like, we're drafting him a little bit lower than we were last year. He's going at the 509 at tight end 6. And I think if you miss on one of those top guys, George Kittle's it. Like, take him. Swipe him right up in the 5th round.
Yeah, you cannot go wrong with George Kittle. And it's like the tide is switched on Kittle, too. Like, I used to be out on Kittle because you were drafting him at his ceiling at tight end 2. But now you're drafting him as like tight end 7 or 8. In the last 3 years, he's finished 5, 3, and 4. And then the season before that, he was hurt. So he finished 20. But the 2 before that, he was 2 and 3. So the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the 6 years, he's been a top 5 tight end. The in between year, he missed games. So you're essentially getting a guaranteed top 5 tight end if played, and you're drafting him well outside his ADP at like tight end 7 or 8.
Yeah, I like Kittle this year. He's incredible value, incredibly productive. Even with the inconsistencies per se, like you're just getting that with what you're getting that with every pass catcher in San Francisco. You're getting that with every player that's not Christian McCaffrey on this team.
I mean, you're getting that with every tight end. Like tight ends aren't consistent to begin with. So like, I'll take the George Kittle spike weeks where he's getting 3 touchdowns to compare to a guy spike week where he goes 4 catches for 80 yards. And a touchdown.
Yeah.
So like that's not a huge spike week compared to Kittle. Like his spike weeks are crazy.
So your approach to tight ends a little bit different than your approach to receivers. Like you said, you preferred Ayuk at receiver because he's more consistent, more safe. Whereas like the tight end position, you want a guy who can
win you a week.
Be that big boom week. Yep.
Yeah, like my onesies, I want guys that can go out there and game change like a game. Like, God forbid Taysom Hill. If I don't get a tight end and I get Taysom Hill, he's a huge spike tight end to where he has top 3 finishes, and then God forbid he's gonna have weeks where he gets 2 catches for 0 yards.
Mhm.
But there are tight ends like that do that regularly. Mark Andrews can go out there and get hurt. It is what it is. Like, I'll take huge spike weeks from my onesies positions over inconsistent play from receivers.
Yeah. All right. Bold prediction for the Niners. I don't really got one. This is a good football team.
They're great.
And
They're
I'm
solid through and
not
through.
I'm not going to be that guy who's going to be like, oh well, Super Bowl hangover. Like I still think they're either winning the division or making the wild card. So, yeah, bold prediction. Nothing happens. The Niners are just fine. They're great. I think the tides turn too much on this team where they're just. I'll say George Kittle leads the team in receiving yards. There we go.
Poor Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah,
That's a bad season.
Still gets 1,000 yards. Ayuk does. So does Kittle.
Yeah, that's a big step back though, from 1,300 to a little over 1,000. I would assume.
Yep. All right. Next up, the Los Angeles Rams. Last season, 10-7. They're at plus 350 over on DraftKings, which is a projected second point finish. Their projected win total, 8.5.
Prime.
Yeah.
Prime.
Yeah. Matthew Stafford, his current ADP is 1307. He's going as the quarterback 20. I know you love Matt Stafford. We actually talked about him today. I've always seen Matt Stafford differently. I think he's an incredible talent. I just don't see him as an elite talent like you do.
Talent-wise, yeah. Fantasy-wise, no. I'm not saying it's an elite.
No.
Fantasy option. No. But like football skill-wise, oh yeah, I think Matt Stafford's in a very elite class when it comes to football talent and IQ. It's amazing to watch. Like, man, I could watch Matt Stafford for days. I would probably put him in my top 5 just off pure talent. I'm not gonna say I'd take him over like the elite guys, but
yeah,
Stafford's right up there
older
for sure.
Yeah, he's older. The Rams season does essentially rely on this dude. Like if he gets hurt, I don't know if Jimmy Garoppolo or Stetson Bennett is going to carry this team anywhere. No. Like Sean McVay's a great coach, so they're still going to win their games, but they're out of playoff contention. Matt Stafford goes down. He's back. He's healthy. He had a little scare at practice early in preseason where like he was being held out, and a lot of people were worried it was his back and neck again, which would be a major concern, but it wasn't. Stafford, fantasy wise, he's a stream guy for me. Or if like he's also one of those guys, like if I draft Jaden Daniels, I'll draft Matt Stafford to pair up with him just to give me a good floor play at quarterback if Daniels misses, which I don't think he will, but
I don't think so.
That's obviously possible.
100%. Yeah, I love Stafford as a good stream option. I'm not going to go out there and draft him. But the whole thing with Daniels, I guess I wouldn't be opposed to it. But like there are going to be matchups where Matt Stafford is easily a top 12 quarterback. He's going to finish top 12 multiple handful times this year just based off the Rams offense and how they play. So
he's got a good week 1 matchup, a revenge game. He's playing the Lions on Sunday night.
It's going to be a great game.
That'll be a fun one. Yeah. Running backs for this team. We got Kyren Williams, Blake Corum. Kyren Williams, incredible last year, was second in points per game behind only Christian McCaffrey. And then they went out and drafted Blake Corum this year in the 3rd, which scared your dynasty Kyren owners. And then last week it came out he's returning punts. So that got everybody frazzled. He's currently going at the 207 at running back 7. I have him as my RB4. None of the news bothers me at all. I'm still all in on Kyren Williams. I even messaged the group chat where I'm just like, I would consider taking him over Breece Hall and Bijan. I think his floor is safer than those guys. Like Cooper Kupp returned punts when he won the Triple Crown. Kyren was returning punts at the start of last season. Like I think Sean McVay just puts a guy back there to save a roster spot. And who's to say Kyren is still returning these punts after a few weeks? I don't think Blake Corum's cutting in too much. I think he's going to be involved. Yeah. Like Kyron's not going to get 90% of the snaps, but if he gets 65 to 70, which is what your usual fantasy running backs are getting, he's still going to finish as a top 5 running back in fantasy football.
I hope the guys are right. I have him as my RB5, I think, and I did draft him in our home league in the round 2. He's my RB1. I hope the guys are right, dude. The whole punt return thing did scare me, and it does linger in my mind that like running backs that do special teams usually aren't RB1s in fantasy. So I get where the worry's coming from, but it's still a McVay offense. And we've seen what Kyron did last year. He was elite. I played him in the championship in our home league, and he almost came back and got that guy the win. Like, he scared the shit out of me so hard. I went out and drafted him this year so it couldn't happen to me again. And I hope to God he can keep this belt with me another year, baby.
Yeah, so Kyron, he's one of the few guys, like, I don't like handcuffing my running backs. I just feel that's a waste of a roster spot. But Blake Corum is one of the guys I would handcuff if I could get him with Kyron, just because if Kyron does go down, he's been hurt both years of his career.
He's undersized, for sure.
It's you have then the running back one of this offense, because Blake Corum can carry the load. Where you said you drafted Kyron in our home league. Were you targeting Blake Corum at all? Did I ever...
No, he really never came into my head because I was more so trying to get receivers on the back end, and I managed to pull that off. But there is a chance I end up looking at Blake Corum a couple weeks into the season. Hopefully, he's not getting a huge snap percentage, so whoever has him is like, oh, I'll just dip him and
drops him first. One of the hot free agents.
Hopefully, I can swoop in there and snag him up, baby. I don't even know who has him, to be honest. Hopefully. Okay, I was gonna say, hopefully it's not K-Dog. Oh, fucking Robbie listens to this too. Robbie, don't listen to that.
All right, pass catchers here, but yeah, Rams. I'm in on both running backs. Kyron, I would take him. I would take him in the first. I know he's going mid to late second. I would take him at the back end of the first. Like, it wouldn't bat an eye. I wouldn't even hesitate.
Yep.
Something to remember. Pretend Kyron Williams was drafted in the first round in real life, and you wouldn't be having these worries coming into this season.
Yeah, the only thing that really worries me is he is undersized, like you brought up, so injuries are concerned. But as long as he's healthy, McVay's a one-back kind of dude, and he's going to rock Kyron. So I'm all in, dude. Then the way the running backs fell in our home league, it was a no-brainer pick. Like, he was ahead of the guys well above different tier, so I pulled the trigger. I'm happy with it.
And also remember, the Jaguars did this last year. They drafted Tank Bigsby in the 3rd round, and look how that turned out. Travis Etienne was still the workhorse. Not saying Blake Corum's Tank Bigsby. I'm just saying,
kind of rude.
You just need to have running back depth, especially if your guy's undersized.
Yeah. Running back depth cannot be like brought up enough. Like, it's so important, and it's such like, if you don't have to worry about a backup running back, you are in such a good spot in the NFL, dude.
Pass catchers here in Los Angeles, they're pretty good.
They're great.
Puka Nacua, he's going at the 202. He's got that burst of sack issue going on in his knee. Hasn't been practicing too much. He's going as the wide receiver 8. Cooper Kupp, his running mate, going at the 310, wide receiver 17. Both guys great value. I have no gripes taking either of them where they're at. I have Puka a little bit lower. I have him at 9. He's going at 8, but same tier of those guys. I know we're both higher on Cooper Kupp. I have him at 14, and you have him at 12. So you have him in the wide receiver 1 range. He's going at wide receiver 17. Like, I'm cool taking Cooper Kupp in the 2nd round.
Oh yeah, 100%. A little behind the curtains in Ziffle, I almost picked Cooper Kupp on the swing in the 3rd, on the long swing in the 3rd, but I realized I had Kyron. I really didn't want to double up on 2 quote for quote injury prone Rams. Kupp's been hurt in the past. Kyron's obviously been hurt in the past, but Cooper Kupp's value is it's amazing. Like, I am almost confident he's going to finish well above his ADP. He's too good. Like, Cooper Kupp is still that dude. All the reports are saying like the offense is still being ran through Cooper Kupp, and Puka's still the number 2. So like, I get why Puka's going so high, but I think Cooper Kupp should be going right there with him, if not a little bit before him, to be honest.
Yeah, people. I don't even view Puka being the 2 as a bad thing.
No,
because that shifts the defense to Cooper Kupp, and Puka's still going to get his share. Like, Puka could still lead this team in targets despite being the 2nd option per se. Like, Matt Stafford, he's going to get these guys the ball. I even like DeMarcus Robinson. He's their 3rd receiver.
Yes, sir.
My bold prediction was actually that he finishes as a top 36 guy, giving the Rams 3 top 36 wide receivers. DeMarcus Robinson was great last year when the guys were down. And like, he overstepped Tutu Atwell, who started the year as the 3, and he played well, and then Tutu got hurt, Cooper Kupp got hurt, DeMarcus Robinson stepped in, and he balled out. Like, super talented dude, and like, look at the teams that guy's played for. They're all winners. Baltimore, Kansas City, Los Angeles. You know, he's
Yep.
a good team guy. He's an incredible talent, great depth piece. I'm in on all three options. I have no gripes taking a flyer on Demarcus Robinson with your last pick. I'm cool with Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua both in the second round. You know, you want a piece of this offense. Like we said, target those elite offenses. The Rams are one of them,
Yep.
except at the tight end position. Tyler Higbee, Colby Parkinson, Davis Allen. None of them are being drafted, really. I don't want any of them.
If Higbee didn't have the ACL thing super late in the season last year, he would be a stream flex, like a stream option at the tight end. But he's starting on PUP, right? He's missing weeks.
Yeah,
I don't even see him coming back at the minimum. I think he's going to be back middle of the season. It happened really late in the season.
It might have happened in the playoffs. Right? It was the same guy, Kirby Joseph, who hit TJ Hawkinson and injured him.
Yeah, scumbag. So stop going low on like dudes' knees. Like I get that they're big and it's hard to tackle them, but like you're jeopardizing these guys. I don't fucking vibe with it. But Higbee would be a streaming option in deeper leagues if he was healthy, but he's not, so I'm really not looking at the tight ends. But I think that boosts targets for Kyron and like shorter routes for Puka and Cooper and Robinson as well. Like I love the Rams offense this year.
Yeah. Deep leagues, dynasty leagues, target Jordan Whittington, 6th-round draft pick from Texas. I didn't really like his college tape, but he's looked great in preseason. Sean McVay is really bringing him out, and maybe his tape in college just didn't look good because of Quinn Ewers. I'm not big on him. He was also playing behind two studs in Xavier Worthy and Adonai Mitchell. So, like, nothing was there, but he's got good size. The Rams hit on guys like that. So if you're in a dynasty league, if he's out on your waiver wire, swipe him up, throw him on your taxi squad or just on your bench. He's a good name to keep in mind.
Yeah, for sure. He's looked great in the preseason, and he's a McVay kind of guy. He's out there blocking guys deep downfield. He's a dog. He runs the good middle of the field routes. So he's fitting really well in that offense, for sure.
Yeah, if Puka or Cooper Kupp goes down, it wouldn't surprise me if he's on the field a lot too with Demarcus Robinson, just because he's a similar style player to those guys.
I agree. He's very physical.
Yeah. All right, Seattle Seahawks. Their next new head coach, Mike Macdonald. Last season, the Seahawks went 9-8. They're at plus 650, which is a third place projected finish over on DraftKings with a projected win total of 7.5. So Pete Carroll's gone. Mike Macdonald in. Ryan Grubb over from Washington is now running the offense here. So Seattle's offense has always been kind of clunky. Like Pete Carroll's old school. Like he just wants to run the ball and like not do anything real innovative. So it's kind of like bored down the Seahawks names where it's like Ryan Grubb is opening this thing up. He wants to play 3 receiver sets. He wants to get his running backs involved. So like I've brought it up in episodes when we talked about the Seahawks. I'm low-key interested in seeing how this offense turns out. Like I'm actually kind of excited. Now I think the biggest beneficiary is going to be Kenneth Walker III. I think he's going to be the bell cow there. I don't think Charbonnet's going to cut too much into his touches. Like I said, like Jacksonville teams do this. They just draft a really good running back because you need insurance in case your guy goes down. Charbonnet, not as good of a talent in my eyes as Ken Walker. Ken Walker, he's going ADP 412, running back 16. I have him at 13.
You have him high.
14. I have him at 14, and
you have him higher than Merkin.
Yeah, going at the 412, I would have considered taking him in the third round. Like I think he has top 12 upside.
I agree. I wouldn't feel comfortable taking over a guy. I wouldn't take him over like White, Rashad White out of Tampa. I would take him, and I got him in the 4th. But after him, I think he's in that next tier after like White and those guys. I really do like Walker. I had him last year in Ziffel, and I ended up trading him for Devontae Smith. So but the games I had him very early on, he produced very, very well, and he got a little banged up. Before his injury,
he was RB8.
He was killing it. Like I loved it, and I was starting him with confidence over White actually. So it's funny to bring that up. But like we play full PPR, so I'd be more comfortable taking White. But in half-point PPR, it really switches up things. And for all you 70-year-old people out there playing non-PPR leagues, I guess he would be more valuable than White because he's a way more efficient runner. Like he's a really good running back.
Yeah, so he wasn't getting much of a target share out of the backfield. It was less than 10%. And Ryan Grubb's actually come out saying like, hey, Ken Walker is a really good pass catcher. We want to get involved in the running game. That could obviously be coach speak, just him hyping up his guys. But if that's something he wants to do, that Ken Walker becomes a PPR value, this dude's creeping in. Like the guys going around him, Joe Mixon, older,
Not
not
really. Yeah, not really a
essentially
PPR
has a
option.
good floor, not a big ceiling though.
Yeah.
Alvin Kamara, super inefficient, but PPR wise, he's going to get a ton of catches.
Mm-hmm.
Rashad White again, inefficient runner. Josh Jacobs is going around there. Like I'd rather swing on Ken Walker than Jacobs, Mixon, or Kamara. I have him and White pretty much back to back. Like it would flip depending on how my team structure is. But yeah, I am in heavy on Ken Walker the third.
Yeah, if I can get him even a little bit above his ADP, like I'm cool in the fourth. Like I'm comfortable with that. He's a really good running back, and like you said, depending on how your roster is, he could be RB2, and I'm 100% confident with him as my RB2. I'd lock that in all day for sure.
Yeah. Geno Smith, quarterback there. I kind of skipped over him. He's going end of your drafts, 15th round, 1507,
like
quarterback 22. I like Geno too. Again, I put him in that Matt Stafford role, just a good stream option. Watch your matchups. If you, excuse me, mitts on a quarterback or you're just running options there. Because this offense is going to ball. Like, the guys he's throwing the ball to are great. DK Metcalf, he's going at the 401, wide receiver 18. Jackson Smith-Njigba going at the 809, wide receiver 40. Tyler Lockett, insane value, going 1106, wide receiver 50. I even kind of like Noah Fant. He's going last round, tight end 24.
I love Noah Fant coming out of college, dude, and it still blows my mind that he's not like this amazing tight end. But every time I see him, I'm like, hey, man, this guy can be really good. But yeah, man, I like Noah Fant. I love the receiving options. I like Geno. I actually just picked him up in our Dynasty League. You and I made a trade. You and I made a trade, and Stafford was my really only backup at quarterback after trading you Anthony Richardson. So I was like, oh, Geno's just sitting on free agents. I locked him in as my third QB. I'll take that every day in Dynasty, dude.
Yeah, I have 5 quarterbacks in our Dynasty League.
Yeah, I've seen you have so many.
It's 3 of them are rookies. I have May, Daniels, and Bo Nix.
Hey man, I'll take Jaden Daniels off your hands.
Then I have Justin Fields and Anthony Richardson. No, Jaden Daniels off touch, no touch. Can't have him off limits there because he's my safety valve if Anthony Richardson gets hurt.
Yeah, you kind of need that. But hey man, you got Bo Nix, so dog.
I do. I actually was like considering moving him, but I'm like, oh, I also have Troy Franklin. I somehow got the stack.
You got a little stacky stack brewing.
Yeah. But yeah, Seattle receivers, DK, I think he's a great value going as wide receiver 18. I think you're drafting him as floor. That's like where he normally finishes. He's never had a finish below 20.
Exactly. So, you're getting him as floor.
Get it. Like I get we might be like oversaturated and bored with DK Metcalf because he was supposed to be the superstar and he hasn't been sans that one season, but still incredibly productive, a great wide receiver 2 for fantasy because you know what you're getting because he could be wide receiver 1. He has that big play upside.
Touchdown potential. He's like a Mike Evans light where he could go out there and get 13 touchdowns, and you're getting him way past his ceiling. His ceiling is receiver 12, 10. He could finish in that ballpark, depending on touchdowns. And their offense is it could be really good. So like the pathway for DK to get those touchdowns is really, really there. And you brought up like fantasy fatigue. You're really seeing it with Tyler Lockett for sure this year, dude.
Yeah, I mean, whether it's trying to predict the age gap or just him having a bad year last year, or just the emergence of Jackson Smith-Njigba. Like, I'm fine with any of these 3 dudes. Like, Njigba does worry me just because of how he was utilized last year. But Shane Waldron's out of town, and Ryan Grubb has come in and said this dude's playing the Jalen Polk role of this offense. Rome's playing, or the Jalen McMillan role of the offense. Tyler Lockett's playing Polk. Rome is obviously DK Metcalf. Like, all of them fit those roles perfectly, whereas, I would take a shot on any of them.
Yeah, I loved Tyler Lockett way back in his college days. Like, him coming out, I got him in a lot of our Dynasty leagues when he came out, and it's just been a huge payoff. Like, Lockett's been so successful. And now, obviously, he's getting in age. He's up there in age, but, his targets are still going to be there in this offense. With Geno, the chemistry's already there. JSN is going to get an uplift in targets compared to last season, for sure. But it doesn't take away from Lockett's game. Lockett's going to go out there and still produce. He's not going to be a receiver 2 like he's always been, but he at some weeks he's going to be a really good flex option. Like Lockett's a really good option off the bench for sure.
Yeah, and even if Njigba's targets aren't like heavily increased, they're going to be better targets.
They're
just
going to be
because
better, yeah, for sure.
His depth of target last year was like 1. Like they were all like behind the line of scrimmage. It was insane, and that's just not the style they're playing now. And Seattle was also like last in the league last year in like plays run and pace of play. And this offense is going to be much quicker. Like, give them 60 more plays and boom, like everything becomes more valuable, which is why I think Noah Fant's a good guy to keep an eye on here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, watch his snap counts for like week 1 and 2. Like if you really need a tight end, see what they are, because he's going to be on the field in an offense that's really moving the ball.
Yeah, like Pete Carroll, he had all 3 guys playing, being Noah Fant, Colby Parkinson, Will Dissly. Dissly and Parkinson ain't there no more.
Yeah,
it's just Noah Fant. So he's the guy to keep an eye on, especially if like you punted the tight end position, you're just kind of streaming guys. You got Freiermuth or Tyler Conklin, or you drafted TJ Hawkinson. Like I would keep an eye on Noah Fant week 1 and dump a little fab on him if he's playing 95% of the snaps and getting targets.
Yeah, 100%. Like the guys you brought up, there will be weeks where Noah Fant outscores those guys without a doubt in my mind. It's just how the football season goes. And like we can predict all of these tight end rankings, but at the end of the day, a lot of it just falls off to how much are you on the field and how many red zone options are you getting. Like that's what a lot of like the middle of the tight end pack falls into. It's like if you score a touchdown, you're going to possibly be a back end tight end 1. That's on the table here in like Seattle. Like DK's the main touchdown guy. Lockett's a deep threat. JSN still question marks. Noah Fant can really start getting some red zone options here.
Yeah. How would you rank the 3 pass catchers before we move on?
DK. I'm gonna put Lockett 2, just based off safe 4, and then JSN 3.
Yeah. I'm switching JSN. I put him 2, DK 1, Tyler 3, and then Zach Charbonnet. Anything on him?
No. Yeah, I'm not a big fan. Well, I didn't really care too much for him when he came out, and Ken Waller's just too good. So,
yeah. All right. Final team in the division. They finished 4-13 last year.
TJ's favorite team in football.
yeah, right now. Plus 1,300 to win. They're obviously projected to finish in last. A projected win total of 6.5, though, and that is my second team in the NFC now, the Arizona Cardinals.
TJ's sweet fantasy dream from quarterback to backup. I couldn't even tell you. You don't like. I mean, you like Trey Benson, but
I do. I made a joke on the podcast early on, calling them Dolphins West, and I'm still in on that. Kyler Murray going at the 608 quarterback 8, great value. He could be a top 5 guy. He's healthy. When he was playing last year, the Cardinals were a top 10 offense. James Conner going at the 605, running back 20, great value. That's a floor guy. Trey Benson, he's going as RB41 in the 11th, almost 12th round. Cool. Guy to keep an eye on. James Conner never finishes a season.
That's true.
Marvin Harrison Jr., he's going as wide receiver 9 in the 204. I'm in. I've talked about it before. I am willing to pay the piper for Marvin Harrison Jr. Michael Wilson going in the 15th, wide receiver 69. Very nice. I kind of like Michael Wilson's upside. And Trey McBride going at the 412, tight end 3. He's my tight end 2. Not far behind my tight end 1 in Sam Laporta. I think Trey McBride's great. I actually ended up with McBride and Marv in our home league. I got Marv in the 3rd, which was made me so happy because I took Nico in the 2nd, because Nico's my dude. And then Marv somehow made it back to me, and then I took Trey McBride, and I was targeting Kyler Murray. I almost took James Conner. Like, I almost incidentally left with 5 pieces of this Cardinals offense.
Yeah, you almost walked out with like the whole Cardinals team, which would have been hilarious if not really put together, probably, like, if you didn't realize it. But I loved that Marv fell to the 3rd. Like, him falling to the 3rd, I'm like, this is a comfortable range where he should go. And our draft order, the way it felt, like you picked 8, Murph picked 9, I picked 10. So on the 3rd, like, I knew he wasn't getting past you. So I'm like, I'm not going to have a chance at Marv in the 3rd where I think he should be going. But hey, man, congrats on getting Marv in that great spot. I love him there. At receiver 9 or 8, wherever he's being drafted, is a little bit too rich for me, but I think he's going to produce. I think he's going to finish around receive. Like, he could be a receiver 1. Like, he has the chance. I don't think he's going to be a receiver 1.
Well, on my squad in Ziffel, he's my wide receiver 3. So
That is true.
I'm very happy. He could be wide receiver 12, and I'm cool with that.
Yeah. Because you don't need him to be a receiver 1 where everyone else is drafting him.
No, I didn't pay the Pied Piper for Marvin Harrison. I got a discount per se. Mm-hmm. I got him where you're probably right. It's where he should be going.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with going around later. Like, he's going just a little bit too early.
It's the hype, man. The best receiving prospect in years. He's been talked about. Legacy name. So we've talked Marv to death. We know you're not in on the ADP for him. I am, obviously. But let's talk about, how do you feel about Michael Wilson? I know he wasn't a guy we liked coming out. He was getting some NFL buzz, and you and I were just like, I don't see it. Like, this dude wasn't productive in college. Like, he had good size. He had some durability issues, but he had some moments last year where he looked good. And I think having Marv there now and having Trey McBride, making him essentially the third option in the pass game for Kyler, I think it opens up the field. I think Michael Wilson's going to be a real sneaky guy. Like, he's a guy with target in best ball leagues, and dynasty leagues. I would try to stash him on my bench.
Yeah, dynasty, I think he's a better option. At redraft, I think he's going to have some nice weeks. I don't think they're going to be really great. I don't think he's going to be too fantasy relevant. But at the end of the day, I think he's going to have some nice weeks off the bench. He's not going to guy that you're going to lock into a starting position. But you could throw him as your second flex spot on the roster. There's nothing wrong with that based off matchups. Because this offense is going to move the ball just based off how bad the defense is.
Defense, yep.
The defense is horrendous. So the offense is going to have to go out there and put up 24 to 30 points a game just to be in it. And you have the weapons to do it. You have a really good fantasy option quarterback. You have Marv, who could be an elite talent receiver. Most likely will be. Michael Wilson, who's fine. You got Trey McBee from the tight end spot, who's an amazing pass catcher. And James Conner, who's arguably the most consistent, what he is. What James Conner needs to do, he's the guy for the job.
Yeah.
They're not going to go out there and work him to death, but James Conner gets the job done.
And that's probably beneficial for him. That might actually keep him on the field longer.
It for sure is, yeah.
Get Trey Benson in there. But Michael Wilson, his first couple games are going to be really important. Zay Jones is suspended.
Exactly, yeah,
if Michael Wilson goes out there and balls out, he pretty much locks in that number 2 spot, relegating Zay Jones to probably be in the 3. Greg Dortch also there. He's a name to keep an eye on if you're in a PPR league because he catches a ton of passes. He'll catch 8 passes for 30 yards.
Not even 8 for 8.
Yeah. The Dortch, baby. But Michael Wilson, if he doesn't hit, he's probably relegated to the 3 or 4 role then with Zay Jones taking over the second slot. So he's a guy to keep an eye on. Watch your waivers. If dynasty-wise, check your waivers. If he's out there, go pick up Mike Wilson. I obviously love Trey McBride. I know people are worried because they brought Marv in and now Trey's not the number 1 option. Not a lot of tight ends are the number 1 option of an offense, but you do want to find those tight ends who are the number 2 option, and Trey McBride clearly is. He was great last year with Kyler. Marv, to me, just opens up the middle of the field for Trey McBride, making him more valuable.
Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with McBride going at his ADP. Those middle of those tight ends, even 1 through 5 are interchangeable. There's no set 1, there's no set 5. I think it goes a little bit deeper. I think 6 and 7 are all in the same range as well. I think that cluster of tight ends, as long as I'm getting them towards the back end of the 3rd or later, I'm cool with taking one of them. I'd prefer to get them in the 4th or 5th range, but if one falls at the back end of the 3rd and you want to pull a shot on one of the tight ends just to start the run, call your shot.
Yeah. Speaking of calling my shot, I did not do that for the Seahawks. My bold prediction for them was Noah Fant finishes as a tight end 1, so a top 12 tight end finish for Noah Fant. My one for the Seahawks, Kyler Murray finishes at quarterback 1, top quarterback in fantasy football this year.
That is quite the ceiling. It's doable. He has the running ability for sure. I think he's going to be a QB 7 I think he's going to finish really high. I think he's going to finish above his ADP for sure. I do like Murray a lot this year.
Yeah, I'm in on the Cardinals. I hate that this division's so good because I'd love to put them in the playoffs, but I can't see them being better than any of the teams in this division just because of how bad that defense is.
I would love to put him above the Seahawks, but I don't. Yeah, I'm not going to. I'm fine with the Seahawks. I think they're going to be an okay team. They're going to be competitive in a lot of the games too.
All right, predict the division. How's the NFC West finish out?
Cardinals at the bottom, Seahawks above them, Niners in second, Rams take the division.
Okay. I got the Cardinals in fourth. I got the Rams in third. The Seahawks in second, and San Francisco repeats as division winners.
I'm really in on the Rams. I think McVay's still a top 3 coach in the NFL. I'm super high on Stafford. I've always been, and as long as those guys are all healthy, being Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Puka, and Kyron, that offense is peak, dude. Like, it's unstoppable.
I just worry how the defense shapes up without Aaron Donald now, losing, one of the greatest defensive players of all time.
100%. Yeah.
And I like Colby Turner, who replaced him. He played last year with Aaron Donald, and he balled out. I liked Colby Turner's college tape. He got snubbed from the combine and all that stuff. But he was a great player. I love that they got him, and he had almost 10 sacks last year. But he's not Aaron Donald. He's a little bit smaller.
No one's Aaron Donald.
So it's going to be tough to replace him, and they moved on from some of their linebackers. I just worry that the Rams defense is sort of just like the Cardinals. It's going to be a really bad defense, and they're going to be carried too heavily by a great offense, which fantasy-wise, it's great, but real-life-wise, I am worried that it doesn't hit for the Rams. And I honestly think that could be the problem for any of those 3 teams that are in San Francisco, being Seattle, Arizona, and Los Angeles. All the defenses do have question marks, and all 3 teams have really decent offenses.
Yeah, for sure. I'm more comfortable with the Rams defense more so than Seattle's and Arizona's. I think they're still fine. I do even like Seattle's defense, especially in fantasy-wise. The first 2 weeks, they're really good options. You have New England and then Denver. I'm streaming Seattle a bunch the first 2 weeks just to see how they do. So, yeah. But yeah, back to the Rams, though. I think the Rams will have a really good shot at winning this division.
Yeah, they also have an incredible coach, which is good, which will help.
Yeah, when your team's coached by McVay, like you're locked in at like almost 500. He's almost Mike Tomlin. Like, he's that good of a coach, which is a rare thing in the NFL. And I think the talent around him, even on the defensive side of the ball, he's still going to get the job done.
Yeah, you got 2 of the top 5 coaches in football possibly in this division.
Yeah, probably.
Kyle and McVay. Same coaching tree, too.
I'm a little higher on McVay than Shanahan, but
I agree.
fine.
Sean McVay would be my second coach in the NFL behind Andy Reid.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'd put Shanahan 3.
Put Harbaugh 3.
Baltimore's Harbaugh.
Yes.
He'd be my 4. Who's your 5?
Oh my God, that's too much pressure. I couldn't even tell you off the top of my head.
Matt LaFleur, Green Bay.
Yeah, but I like Matt LaFleur.
Mike Tomlin.
Too much pressure. Nope, can't think of it. I'm not trying to leave out coaches.
Not Zach Taylor.
No, that guy's a coward. Mike McDaniel, he's good.
Yeah, all of them, all from the same tree too.
Yeah, exactly. They're all done by Mike McVay and
what a wild
Sean McVay. Yeah, he's an amazing coach. He knows how to get these coaches out there ready in the NFL. The dude's a great he's a phenomenon in what he's doing in LA. It's amazing.
I just hope all the nonsense rumors of him retiring every year just stop.
Well, he wants to announce at some point, so it's
but he's not going to anytime soon. He's going to be coaching. He's having too much fun. I don't think he leaves till Stafford. Still Stafford's gone.
I agree. I think once Stafford's done, he takes a job for a year or 2 in the announce booth, and then he's back coaching, dude. He loves the game too much, and he's still super young, dude. He's so young compared to some of these other coaches.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if he does leave in say 3 years and then ends up back in Los Angeles again.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. Take a little break, dude. He deserves it. What are we talking about? True legend of the game, bro.
Yeah, Speaking of breaks, we need a break. Now, that's it. Divisional stuff is done.
Yes, sir.
Didn't space it out quite as well as I hope. Next year we'll start that earlier, so we're not doing the last division 2 days before the season starts.
For sure.
So there we go. I think coming up we got week 1 previews. So we'll do
real
predictions.
Yeah, we have football. Real
games that
football's
matter.
coming up. Wait, football's right here, dude. Yeah.
Maybe we'll keep a tally, do a little pick 'em, see who does better between Nick and I.
We can do that,
and we'll talk fantasy impact on games going here week 1, and maybe we'll throw out a little college scouting as the college football season started. I'm thinking instead of doing our rankings, maybe we'll just talk about like 3 or 4 guys that caught our eyes that we're really looking at for the draft coming up here in 2025.
Well, if we're doing that, sure, but I'm just going off players that caught my eye. USC's quarterback looked amazing this weekend.
I thought LSU's guy looked pretty good too. I thought both quarterbacks there looked well.
Yeah, they both looked really good. USC's guy really went out there and got them the win. Like at the end, it was crazy to watch. Great game.
I like their running back too, Willie Marks. I thought he played well.
Yeah, for sure.
One of their receivers, real big body, Drake London type. He's like 6'6". His name
he's out
is
there
slipping
making
my
crazy
mind.
catches.
Yeah. And that LSU corner though, he held his own. He's a true freshman.
Yeah. He had a little slip up, little penalties late in the game, but he's going to go out there and he's going to play better. He looked good at the beginning. He looks good. There's so much talent, dude. Like NCAA, the college football game has me so much into college this year. Yep. Like I'm all in on college. Fantasy football is here. Real football starts. Dude, like football is here, baby. Yep. Let's go.
Two more college names I want to bring up. Ashanti Genti, the running back from Boise State. He's my RB1 right now from just a few running backs I've watched. Great running back class coming up though.
Mm-hmm. Great.
With Damari Hampton and Ollie Gordon too. But Genti's a dog, dude. And then Tedero McMillan from Arizona. My wide receiver 1, he's got that Sidney Rice in him. Like he's got this real lengthy dude who just
like,
mosses you.
He's tall,
6'5",
and
he's skinny though.
So fast.
Yeah, and I really like Arizona. I like their quarterback too. Really small though, really small.
He's tiny boy,
but he slings it, baby. So we'll do some college stuff here, just like this, sort of like end up a segment or start a show.
Yeah,
just talk about a few guys here and there, and then really deep dive in the off season like we did. How we started the podcast off and do like our couch scout stuff.
Nebraska's true freshman quarterback looked good.
Dylan Rioli.
Yep.
Father played for the Lions.
He's training with Patrick Mahomes. You can really see it. He's wearing 15.
Looks like him too.
Yeah, he's wearing 15. He has the same hair. He wears the shades on like warm up. Yeah. And dude, he's out there throwing like he's making weird throws. He's got a nice sidearm release. He's got a good release regularly too. True freshman down in Nebraska, dude. He's balling out, dude. Like it's gonna be fun to watch.
Football's here, baby. It's going to be good times. College, we're 2 weeks in.
Yes, sir.
Pro football starts Thursday. We'll have another episode here out tomorrow.
Hopefully, yeah.
So, no, we will. I'll post it. I'll do it up. We'll record it. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. All right, guys. Drafted Up Podcast. You can follow us over on Twitter at @draftedup_pod. Like, rate, subscribe, review over on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you watch or listen. We appreciate it. Tell your friends, tell your mom, tell your dad, tell your dog. Tell the guy you're stuck in traffic with. Tell your coworkers. Tell everybody. And there's that beautiful belt for you visual folks. That's it for the podcast. Divisional stuff done. Going to be busy times ahead. We look forward to it. Thank you guys, as always, for listening to the Drafted Up Podcast. Adios.
Bye.
Whoa. Confetti.